Harley, sit, please. No. Hello, Harley. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Design Tips and Sips. I'm Anna Gibson with AKG Design Studio, and this is the show that brings you design tips, sips. We talk about lifestyle, wellness, and I think our wellness officer, Harley's walking around here somewhere today, so if he pops in, just say hi. So what are we sipping on today? It is height of peach season. So today I have a really awesome, refreshing cocktail. It's Crown Royal Peach with some fresh peaches, Crown Royal, and lime, and it's absolutely delicious. So before we start, cheers. Make sure you check the notes for the recipe. You will find it there. And let's move on to today's topic. All right. So this is going to be two-parter, and we're going to be talking about design mistakes in your kitchen. So this is going to be part one, and make sure to follow for part number two that's going to drop in a couple of weeks. So let's get going. Design mistake number one, ignoring your work triangle. Yes, I know that if you follow me, you will see that I talk a lot about the actually workstations, but it doesn't mean that I actually ignore the work triangle. Workstation is when we set up a specific station for a concrete task, for, let's say, for coffee. So we're going to have our coffee machine there, a place to store our coffee beans. We're going to have our coffee cups, pretty much anything that you need around that area, maybe somewhere close to a sink, maybe even auxiliary sink that you don't really have to walk around too far away from it. And that is going to be your coffee station. But when you're doing the full walking around your kitchen, you still want to make sure that you're not ignoring your work triangle. And what is the work triangle? That was created bazillion years ago when the lovely ladies that were thinking about how to work efficiently in a kitchen realized that you're really moving between three specific spots in your kitchen, which is your sink, your stove, and your refrigerator. Those need to create a triangle where you walk pretty easily between them. And also, according to the NKBA, there should be a certain distance, not more than actually 8 feet distance between each leg of the kitchen. Again, we're trying to be efficient in our space, in our spots, and you don't want to walk around with a pot of pasta, all the way across the other side of the house. Now, most of us don't have kitchens that size, so we don't have to walk that far, but sometimes we do design pretty large kitchens. So we need to make sure that we create even more than one work triangle, or maybe adding an auxiliary sink. Like, for example, my kitchen has a prep sink in the island to make it easier for me when I'm working in that space. So we want to make sure that it stays efficient. One of the biggest mistakes that our people are doing is actually putting the refrigerator or some appliances on the other side of the island, making that pretty hard to access if you are by the sink, which means now you're walking around the island to reach to your stove, to your oven, to reach your refrigerator. So make sure that there is no anything impending or cutting your work triangle. Try to keep those in an area where you can actually walk within in an efficient way without any cabinetry or anything permanent that cutting your workspace. Talking about islands, that brings me to mistake number two. And that is forcing the island onto the kitchen. We have so many clients that absolutely in love with the idea of having an island, but the kitchen is just too small for the space. So back in the day, probably I would say 36 inches counter to counter was just enough. And yes, you can still make it just enough, but it is quite narrow. Even for one person, it is just not enough. So forcing that island is probably not a good idea on the space. So make sure that you redesign, work with your designer to reconfigure the space completely, or find our solution. We can find our solutions that are not going to be an island. So maybe it's going to be a peninsula, maybe redo how the space work with the cabinetry that is not impending workspaces in the kitchen. So for example, one of the things that we did for a client just a couple of months ago was adding a movable island. So we just got one of those pre-made islands on wheels. So then when they are prepping, they can actually move it closer to them. But when they're not, they can move it out of the way, but it's not impacting any of the workspace in the area, because otherwise it would have been really tight to walk around that kitchen, open doors, and be safe in there, which again, brings me to the next mistake, and that is health and safety in the kitchen. So it's really, really important to make sure that you are placing your appliances in the correct place. A lot of people just put their appliances wherever they kind of feel like, or in a place that seems to kind of sort of work for the kitchen, but they don't really think about the health and safety and hazards. So for example, one of the main things that I hate and I just can't stand is stoves that are almost to the edge of the countertop at the end of the L shape, leaving just maybe 9 inches or sometimes no inches at all, which means to the edge of the space, meaning now somebody's coming into the room and the first thing, if they do need to hold on to something, their hand is on the stove. Same thing is, we talked about forcing islands, is forcing a stove on an island that does not have enough adequate space around it. And now we also force a stove. Again, this is, you have a spill hazard. If something spills, this goes right behind it. If some young little hands or even older, it doesn't matter, somebody just comes stumbling into your kitchen, they're trying to hold on to the countertop or remove something, and they put it right onto the stove, and here we are having a fire hazard. Another hazard that people don't really think about, because there's usually a really convenient wall that the architect put in there, and that is the refrigerator. And guess what? The moment you open the refrigerator or even your double oven, you are blocking the access to your garage, to your laundry room, to the other room, I even seen blocking access to your dining room. So now somebody's trying to come from the dining room back into the kitchen. You're in the process of taking that turkey, and now here you are colliding. Turkey goes flying on the floor. So this is, again, it is an issue with that. And that also brings us back to a very narrow work aisle. If we only have barely 36 inches, and we have really small, again, somebody opens the dishwasher, there's no place to see it. And another inadequate placement of dishwasher. I've seen it too many times and it's absolutely cringe. There has to be at least minimum 18-inch space between the dishwasher and the sink if they're angled to each other. So a lot of time in a smaller space, the sink ends up being on an angle in order to create more workspace on each side. And I literally see those designs where the designer or whoever it is put that dishwasher right next to the sink. Guess what? The moment you open that dishwasher, you are blocked by the dishwasher. between the dishwasher and the sink. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy hazard because you can trip and fall over the dishwasher. It's uncomfortable because you're way too close to it. So yes, I know it sucks, but most of the time what we do in order to fix it, we will put at least the trash cabinet in between the sink and then the dishwasher. So you have at least 18-inch space between the sink and the dishwasher. So then you can open the dishwasher safely, you can walk around it, you can close it, and it's not becoming a work hazard. So talking about, again, health and safety is poor lighting. As we get older, we need more light, and light is everywhere. So a lot of the things that people are ignoring and not paying enough attention is light source in the kitchen. So of course, as much as we love to use light, we want to use natural light as much as possible. So if we can add windows into your kitchen, this is a great opportunity to work with the design, balance the design, play with that, but actually add natural light as well. But when natural light is gone, night, evening, overcast day, we have to make sure that we have enough lighting. And just putting a lot of recessed candlelight, whatever you call them, that's not enough. We want to make sure that we actually strategically think about the lighting placement and also layer the lighting. So yes, we have the task lighting, that it's the overhead can lighting, which is great. Again, make sure that they're also placed correctly. A lot of people space them too close or too far away from the countertop, making sure that creating an issue where the shadows is actually, it's shining on your back, actually blocking, and your body is actually blocking the light on the countertop. So your countertop is completely blocked. So again, I love it when contractor just throw recessed light there willy-nilly, not even thinking about how it's going to impact. And then you wonder why your kitchen is so dark or you can't see anything on your countertop, is because guess what? Those recessed lights are way too far and your back is actually blocking the light to the countertop, shining over your back. So even if you're doing recessed light, only recessed light, make sure they are placed correctly. Now, talk about layering lights. We want to have under cabinet lights. Those are great for so many reasons. Remember, we talked a couple of episodes ago about biophilic design. So we talked about using them as growing lights. So if you love growing herbs on your countertop, these are great. You can turn it on and now you actually have extra light for your herbs on your countertops. It's a great extra light. So if you need night light in the evening, again, we can play with that typical lighting, and it can be just a night light if somebody just wants to come in the middle of the night and get some lighting. But it can also be extra light when you are cooking, if you need that extra oomph in the evening in the space, or even during the day if you're doing something, a specific task that needs that light. We love if you have glass cabinetry or even floating shelves. We love adding lights under those. That creates such a great design effect of popping light in the glass cabinetry. If you have floating shelves, creating that lighting source, again, the more we layer the light, the more the space is going to look more beautiful. It's going to create spotlight on different areas in your kitchen. It really does add a design element for your kitchen. So choosing different pendant lights for your kitchen, for your dining room, really play with the different lightings. And the more we layer the lighting, the better. Talking about accessibility, toe kick lighting, it's becoming more and more a thing in the design right now. Again, this is a light that is sitting in the toe kick. It is great as a path light in case of emergency. Again, you can also use it as as a nightlight. And for somebody that has vision issues or mobility issues, having that extra light in the toe kick lower, it helps them to distinguish the height of the cabinetry and what's going on the floor. So again, don't forget a proper lighting plan for your kitchen. This is really going to mean the make and break of your lighting. And don't forget to choose the right temperature of your light. So I know now it's crazy, especially with the LED, we can have a lot of different light temperature and light colors. And sometimes people just like, oh, I just want all the light, but then they choose that 5,000 Kelvin, which really just makes your kitchen looks like a hospital because it brings very harsh blue coloring to it, and all the beautiful design is going to get lost. Or you choose some of those Edison really low warm colors. Again, they don't really work with the design as well. So just make sure that you work with your designer or even with a specialty lighting designer to make sure that you have the correct placing, layering, and color of your lighting. All right, what else? What else we have? Following trends blindly. Oh gosh, there is so many crazy trends I see right now on TikTok and Instagram. Did you see the lady that decorated her refrigerator inside? Yes, check it out. What the heck? Literally, most of us complain that we don't have enough room in the refrigerator. I feel that putting lettuce in my refrigerator is plenty of decoration for my fridge. I do not need to decorate it inside. So there are some crazy trends inside, that floating in the ether. You don't have to follow them. When you work with us, we really try to make sure that we cater to you and we make sure that the design is style for you and your family and what you're looking for. Will use stuff that is a little bit trendy? Absolutely. But it's like everything else is in moderation. And also make sure that that specific trend works for your lifestyle. Forever ago, I hope it's forever ago, it seems like everybody was doing subway tile. Oh gosh, don't get me started about the subway tile. Have we done kitchens that been subway tile? Absolutely. But there was time and place and a design that worked with that subway tile. My husband knows that there's one restaurant that I'm not going to be naming here in our area that has a whole wall of subway tile. Listen, people, it makes zero sense because it's a Thai restaurant with a beautiful decor, but the bar has a whole lot of white subway tile. Why? I don't understand that. It makes no sense. Don't do it in your home. Don't do it. Make sure that the trend that you are selecting, it's something that you like, something that you love, something that in 5-10 years, when you wake up in the morning, you still want to see it. Because some of these trends can really age very, very quickly. And I can tell you specifically every year what was the trend, because I don't want anyone looking at my design and say, oh yeah, she designed it in 2005 because that was subway tile or shiplap or whatever it was back then. So again, I'm not saying that trends are bad. They are just a starting point for a conversation. It's a great way to use things, but again, don't follow them blindly. If you like green, green is trending, great. I've been using green in my kitchens way before it was trending. If you like green, use it. Use it in a way that works for your space and your lifestyle. If you hate green, don't use green, even if it's the trendiest color in the whole world. Again, make sure that you are working with whatever is giving and customized to your lifestyle. All right, that was 5 mistakes that people do in their kitchen and when they're designing or failing to think about when they're designing their kitchen. That was part 1. Make sure you tune into part 2 coming up. If you're not subscribed, Make sure you're subscribing now. We are Design Tips and Sips. Ring the bell to make sure that you are following us. And again, I am Anna with AKG Design Studio. Check out our social, check out the recipe for this delicious crown peach in the show notes. If you want to follow us on other social media, we are on TikTok, we're on Instagram. So all the notes are in the show notes. And episode 2, part 2 of Design Mistakes coming soon. I will see you later. Cheers.